Hello to my wonderful listeners. One Family TV wala mutanale nan kotenke. Mbadi ngolu annal lamoy nin kendi ngola de abe diamu kan katandi ko mune tolu bula fo I wulta ka Farafenni barasta kaje attack me yalon ko pour kaje ta kaje boyinka me yalon ko inata tambije bari inata succeed wodula to le damento boyinka bari ilafta tala damento wala mu banjunti bari e manna succeed no pour kata banjunta kata je attack odo mbadi ngolu mune wol bula wala na lamoy anin hakilola nkana alamoy anin just.
Did you react after you were hit?
Keta nyadi le birin keso yetama.
When I was hit,
a little bit by mom back.
ko birin keso ye ma iketa nyadi le.
Bring keso ma.
When I was hit,
Fundo bembulu.
I had a rag,
Fundo uloni.
a red one.
City wall. Ngana city wall.
I tied my thigh with that red rag.
So bring us to Fabambanda.
When I tied it with that piece of cloth until it was strong,
Continue no operation.
I went on alone along with my operation.
How about Suleiman Sar?
Leman sardu.
Sleman Sara, bring keso ama waroma, singo catle.
When Suleiman Sar was hit by the bullet, it broke his leg.
So wala na at man continue no.
That's why he was unable to continue, and he cannot continue. What we did later was
nga finding the camp no.
we took him out of the camp.
So nga sarero ni.
We looked for a cart.
Nga landi sarero kan.
We put him on top of that cart.
So saretio nya samba fonyaro.
The owner of the cart took him further.
So taxi tier do ataji.
Another taxi picked him up from there.
So where samba for border
and took him up to the border.
Kadu Farafenni camp for bring attack.
Because the Farafenni camp, after our attack,
bring fanoker.
when they broke,
True,
we were strangers at that time in the Gambia.
But bring fanoker.
But when it was daybreak, we had support inside the town. Farafenni. The amount of people who were coming, those who wanted to join us, it was too much. Maybe there are people who come from Farafenni itself. If they hear that,
why did they not join?
So,
because we refused.
Why?
The reason why we didn't want that, because at that time when it was daybreak,
so you will not
know who is who. And in a military situation, if you are doing something, you are always suspicious at all times. Don't trust all people. Some will come and tell you that we want to join you. If you take out a gun and give it to them, you don't know whether he is an enemy. This is why we refuse.
So what
true people.
What did you do in the morning after having helped Suleiman Sar evacuated from the scene? What did you do?
When it was
daybreak,
so
every place was clear. We were able to recognize places. We saw a pickup parked near a long house, a building, a long-sided building. We went around that area.
So when
we went around there, myself and Yaya Drame, if I can remember, with Kabiro,
so
when we reached the pickup,
so
we were there.
So
we saw that inside the building, we saw a curtain being moved. When we saw that curtain moving,
so
and the person inside was peeping outside, looking around.
So
when we saw that,
So guy findina.
We told him to come out.
So aninki Jafaro.
He was scared and came out.
So abiranara.
When he came,
So yarafa ila kampu kumandala.
on the whole, he was the camp commander.
So Lord Laroje.
At that instant,
So waro anara fanyandelo mula kampu kumandari.
he informed us that he was the camp commander.
Akonya barisa ina soja role be mfilije nimboro yako.
He told me, but now all my soldiers have abandoned me. They've run away.
So saying
Now,
narafa sai besulari nyimoro.
then we told him that we need this vehicle.
So I moro chabo dina.
He gave us the car, the keys of the vehicle.
So ya drama.
So Yaya Drame,
Bara I moro nole.
he's a able driver.
So I moro nyimala.
He ignited the vehicle.
Nara amoro ning ila kampu kumandanya.
We came to the armory with the camp commander himself.
Birum fudara amoro nyi.
When we reached the armory,
So kidol membe kono roje.
the guns which were inside,
Be bonde.
we took them all out.
Ke bulandi amoro nyankon. Ke bulandi pick up
We
nyankon.
put them on board the pickup.
So mankunje.
They were all unable to fit inside the pickup.
So loda silo kan sila ba kan silo man kara bar.
We stood on the main road, the road that leads to the river.
So ara fanko do jele ti do kana.
There was one gelegele vehicle which was coming.
So ara ndenen kabiro tarawor.
Myself and Kabiro, we went there.
So biru loda je.
When we stood there,
So subaju no.
in that early morning,
So biru jele nyam futara.
when the gelegele arrived,
So ngalonde.
we stopped it.
Biru ngalonde.
After stopping it,
So nganyinenga.
we asked him,
Fo nyin men be moto kon.
we asked him, these people on board your vehicle,
Fo ye jole ba.
did they pay you?
Ako manjo follow de.
He said, they have not yet paid me.
So tonya
Truly,
guy go sai jindi.
I told him to tell them to disembark from the
Because
vehicle
dolbe sular moro.
because we need this vehicle.
So biri jira.
So when they disembarked,
So ngomoro nyin dunanin drive onye.
we decided to take the vehicle.
Did you force the driver using your weapons?
Ayo drive on force le kan kidol nyin tala tandal.
Yes.
Yes.
So bira nara.
When he came,
Bira dundana kambo kono.
when he came into the
So
camp,
kidi tol membe je.
the rest of the guns,
E dunde moto nyin kono.
we put them on board that vehicle.
Why did you empty the armory?
Na le kidi mabod la nyimbe ale je be kidol be bondi je a 15 ans.
Ni aje ngawoke.
Reason for doing that,
Na miso no mende.
what our mission was
Manke farafanyere.
not Farafenni.
Na miso no mende.
What our mission
Wala mu
was
state house or.
is State House.
So malavi purka kidi to koma.
We didn't want to leave any gun behind.
Ni kido to koma.
If you leave guns
Ai
behind,
soja role membe je.
the soldiers who were behind,
As keno.
it's possible that
Bida yawo kidolta.
they will come and take those guns
Agency.
and against us.
So ni pareda na purka mansa kya bonde.
If you are ready to topple a king
Be
or a
pareda
ruler,
ile kido soro de.
you have to be ready to get a gun.
Ni man keso ni man kido soro.
Didn't Kukoi know that?
Ku ko ma wolong.
And waro ku ko I am filiji ratar.
No,
When he gave you the pistol for hunting birds,
Right,
did he realize you needed guns?
Bini wa ayo kidi ndingo dialla o kidi no me ko hani pura de maran wala. Fa malo no ni bida nyin kusi fala isula kidola.
A koida ma ku ko mu soja role.
it's clear to him. Kukoi is a soldier.
Sandaro mo ay la kumo beta bara.
He was very good, intelligent, because he was a Zandam before.
A lo no comme ça ama sur le rom.
He knew, but he
Nigeria.
was just unable to get the right
Sa
ones.
nyanta sur la damando support sur la damando Senegal government maybe anu de ma me a je ko ama sur woto wala na o use that.
The place where he was supposed to get this help from or acquire arms, he was unable to. So this is why I think he decided to acquire those guns, the ones which were only used for against birds.
So now it's daybreak. You have removed all the weapons from the armory. You have 2 vehicles. What did you do?
Silang fano fela keta.
Ila-
Ale tata ale moto fula soro. Silang ale moto fula soro ale amore nyinga ya kensa yandi. Mune nata nake.
Ila amore ni ani communication ol be nga be la samba. To na ko ala.
We cleared the armory, and even the communication equipment, we took it all away.
Be tanga be bulande moto.
We put them all on board the vehicle.
So bir nga bulande wo moto la.
After putting those things in the vehicle,
So sa Farafenni mumo sa tarnando level fo 11 o'clock so manda.
I can say that we were in charge of the town of Farafenni till 11 o'clock in the morning.
So waro la kampo nyambula.
That's the time when we left the camp. He said, let's head towards Banjul.
So minaka waro mena.
On our way coming,
which bank did you take?
Ala sila jumalata.
Kerawan silo mengara Kerawan.
We took the road leading towards Kerawan in Nyomi.
So ngau silo lata.
That's the road we took.
Kata form futara Bobolong Kontakunda Niji.
We came all the way to Bobolong, near to Kontakunda Niji.
So Birun Sumanda Orla.
When we were about to reach that place,
so elao banyindo.
There river there.
So ngaje motodoka bonang ila Kerawan mafanga.
We saw a vehicle coming from the Kerawan end.
So bring
when we saw that vehicle,
lampo bakan sando.
It has a light on top.
We
realized that it was a military vehicle.
So
So when they also saw us coming, they stopped. We also stopped. When we stopped,
so
civilians came on their side. Because they were close to the junction.
So
they called the civilians. When they called the civilians,
so
they decided to place those people on the main road.
As human shields?
Yes.
So your system all use.
That's the system they used.
Do you know who was the commander of the soldiers that you encountered?
Alin soldier all menu benda yala na jumala muila nyaron ko riba.
After na arresto ko naralo ko pitalam.
After we were arrested, we later came to find out that it was Peter Singate.
Proceed.
So bendaje.
When we met up with them there, when they brought those civilians, we realized that, yeah, we had a big gun, an RPG, because if you know that RPG, if you shoot a certain place, however big the building is, it will disintegrate.
So but
then we realized that that is not our mission. If we shoot these people, because they left their vehicle on the main road and placed civilians on the road, and they themselves ran away and went into the bush. They left the main road. Because the civilians there weren't even aware of what was happening. So many of them were there. Some were standing in front of the vehicle, others were standing on the road. They wanted to know what was going on.
So what did you do?
If you shoot there, you are going to kill only civilians.
So
then we realized that. Well, as for this, we have failed.
So
let's disperse.
So
that was the time when we dispersed.
So
when we dispersed,
so now
the time when we were dispersing,
so
each and everyone decided to plan where you are supposed to go by.
So you
take that way for yourself.
So at
that time, I came and placed my gun.
So
after putting down my gun, I took the main road. I went up to the point where I reached the civilians. Up to their vehicle. When I reached their vehicle, but by that time they have all ran away. They were in the bush.
So
I passed. I went all the way to the main junction. When I reached the junction, I met a policeman there. I found that place also full. I found a friend there. They call him Bakari Conte. We were together in Libya.
So
when he saw me, by that time I was bleeding.
So
I have already tied my leg and I was still bleeding. He asked me, Balo, where are you coming from? I said to him, I am coming from Farafenni.
So
but our vehicle met with these people on the way.
So
and they were shooting each other. During that shootout,
so
a bullet hit me. I didn't want him to know who I am and where I was coming from.
So
at that time there was a policeman.
So
because that Bakari Conte, he decided that because he knew me.
So
he told me, let me carry you to my home so that this thing can be treated.
But
the policeman, he said to him, no, I don't trust this man. I'm going to arrest him.
So
when the policeman told me that I will arrest you, he said, I don't trust you, I'll arrest you. I didn't resist.
No problem.
I said to him, no problem.
So at
that time, when we were discussing there, the vehicle owned by Save the Children arrived.
So
when it stopped,
so
he talked to them.
So
they told him that bring him and put him on board the vehicle. Because there were only 2 people on board the vehicle.
So
that's how they put me on board that vehicle. They took me to Kerawan.
So
when we arrived at Kerawan,
for Kerawan police station,
up to the Kerawan police station, when we reached that place,
policeman do trasirin police station.
We found one man sitting at the police station.
So
when we reached the place,
so
they took my things from me.
So
because I had some charms on me.
So
they took away those charms. Plus my jacket. And some other things which were on me.
So
they took all those things from me.
So
from there,
so
that's how they brought me.
So the
policeman we found sitting there said to him, take him to the hospital.
So when
I was taken to the hospital, the moment I arrived at the hospital, I was there. These police was discussing with the doctors. They were there. Then I saw some vehicles arriving. But it looks like they were Red Cross vehicles.
So
when they arrived, some people came in.
So
when they came in, inside the hospital, they were discussing among themselves.
So
in those discussions, some were saying we trust this man, some were saying no, we don't trust this man. Some said no, now let's take him to Banjul. But we will not put him on board this vehicle. Before we put him on board the vehicle, we will inject him so that he will pass out.
So
that was the time I was injected. Those who were over me, the person who injected me is a woman. Was a woman. I don't know the name of that woman. Because there were many people there, but they don't want me to recognize any one of them.
So
after I was injected, that's how I became flat. The NIA, I was brought down the vehicle. They opened the door. Their main gate. After opening the gate, Lamin Jobate.
Which Lamin Jobate are you talking about?
Lamin Jobate
Lawyer, Minister of Justice.
the lawyer who once was the Minister of Justice.
Do you know any other name by which he is called?
Yalon to do kote nalaba mulka kumandi mendaba.
Nka mo ka fa baba Dinding Jobate.
I heard some people calling him as Baba Dinding Jobate.
Did you know him before?
Yalon nanu jannu wolungo bang.
Nana ma je fangsa.
I never set eyes on him.
That was the first time you saw him?
Wolungo lem dum follow de nyabo itaka.
Yes.
How did you know he was called Lamin Jobate or Baba Dinding Jobate?
Yalon nyadi la to mo Lamin Jobate le dole yalon Baba Dinding Jobate la.
Because atle receive bundanyo.
Because he was the man who received me at the gate.
Bra receive je.
After he received me,
ngalon te ngalom mol kono re ma ke ka foko because be kalolo ko ngalom mol kono re.
Before that, I was able to recognize him among people.
I received bundanyo.
After he received me at the gate,
janinte be futala kono.
Before we reached inside,
ngamrandela singolo bankor.
I think the moment I stepped on the ground,
na Cairo dandawol.
That's where my peace ended. Before they knew anything, the moment I stepped on the ground, he slapped me.
Who slapped you?
Baba Dinding Jobate.
So
that's how they caught me. But at that time, I was still bleeding from the bullet wound on my leg.
You have not yet been taken to hospital?
Honey?
No.
And before slapping you, did he ask you anything?
Well, just like after arriving, the moment they brought me down from the vehicle, he didn't ask me anything, he didn't say anything to me, he just slapped me, and that's afterwards they dragged me into an office.
How do you know that this person was Minister of Justice at a later stage?
Ite yalo nyadi le nyimari nying anana kita minister memata lual ni tilingola nyato domandi.
Aindra kaso kono.
He found me inside the jail.
Did you have a conversation with him in the jail?
Kaso kono je birina be nyokan je foina kachata jele ba.
Janni ba sambala na kaso kono.
Before they bring him into the jail,
arrest.
After he was arrested,
after no I totorum mangana official member.
Because before all that, when he tortured me and the officers who were present, Baba Dinding Jobate and some others, I narrate to them what happened.
So
So when he was just arrested,
he was
taken to the main yard. And after he was taken to the main yard, they wanted to bring them to confinement. The officer who was in charge of the confinement wing, he was called Dudu Ture. He came and called me, and then he told me, you people have to bear.
Because
you people have to forgive, isn't it?
Sabaro. Patience.
Okay.
That's different from to forgive.
All right.
Sabaro.
I was trying to interpret the context, but undoubtedly I got it wrong. Please proceed.
You people have to bear. Without that, because somebody who maltreated you, and that person also is arrested and brought to the same place, they wanted to transfer him to come to the confinement wing. I want to appeal to you.
Yes,
please be patient. Because Allah has decided, even before you all died, if you don't take patience, then you will never be patient again.
We would come back to all this later. Okay. What I want to establish is, how did you come to be certain, to be sure that the person that received you is Baba Dinding Jobase?
Lafta ka men sabati ne wala nyindi ko nyin keno ta nyaadi le men na na sabati sonno mo kono ko nyim mari nyim meye kabri ye naati je meye tulo buza Baba Dinding Jobate lam.
Because Ibrahim Bondi Bundaro.
Because when he took me away from the gate,
I samba for office.
he took me right into the office.
So I see that
he sat down.
I'm him for a float him.
He put me
come in the front and you demonstrate.
When nyaro ya chandi moliaje. Siraw nati nyaro. Siraw boni tabulo ma mole nati nyaro. Wuli.
Bring the chair, let him sit and show us what happened, what he did.
Ko ya itandi commission la menkela.
Please proceed.
After he took me from the gate.
So
Could you wait for the... Yes, please, go ahead.
After he slapped me.
So I couldn't do no because
when he slapped me, I fell down.
I couldn't do all.
That's how he dragged me.
Samba
and took me into an office.
So
just a minute. You mean to say that you were being dragged like a sack?
Yes.
And where were you taken?
They took me to a hall, a big hall which was there.
Was the hall upstairs or downstairs?
It's downstairs.
What's the distance between the point from which he started to drag you to the point where you were taken to, at least to the point you were given a seat?
Dinkira la jamfo be nyoy nyaadi le dinkira men ayaku damu take kurundu damendo aning ay samba dinkira mendo jamfo be nyoy nyaadi le.
Well, it's a little bit distance.
You are a soldier. You can give us an estimate of distance.
Soldier rolo muiti isi yirkaro dino mollale ala jamfo.
5 meters, 10
meters.
It might be 10 meters, something like that. Yes.
How did it feel being dragged on the ground like that?
Ite yo ki ta nyaadi le akite fe nyaadi le ke kurundu teroto bankoto nyama.
Ma understand because I don't balo from Benyama. I ain't Kenyam, Warum Balo from Benyam, Ma understand Munana Dali Jumalana. Imaninka, Imalo Jumalem, drag one yama, and samba for offshore. Then I came for a full tema, Yendete.
I don't know why, because I don't understand it. Just apart from, just after alighting from the vehicle, he slapped me and then dragged me into an office.
I
fell down and he dragged me like that on the ground up to the office, and then he put me between his two legs.
He sat
without
down
asking me.
He sat down and put me between his two legs.
Yes.
I see that's around, so I understand it.
He sat down. He sat down in a chair, and he put me between his two legs, and squeezed me, and then started slapping me on both sides.
So
on both cheeks.
On both cheeks. At that time, many of the NIA operatives came in there.
Let's try to get this picture. When he put you in between his two legs, were you seated on the floor or were you standing?
Ako, inga yeke line simfara fulol tema. For ibe sirin terol to bang for ibe loren.
I was sitting down on the ground. He was sitting on a chair and I was sitting on the ground.
How many times did he slap you?
Ayetulo buza sinyajelu.
Because I seem for a full time, so you can't look at the
I cannot.
Nine to Lobus and to Lobus. In Dolphine will not. Wolfan and to Lobus. So you can.
I cannot say how many. Because when he slaps me, they keep on asking me. And after he slaps, others will also come and start slapping me as he was doing. So this was going along with questions.
In your opinion,
Itala miraloto.
Who was in charge of the persons who were in the room at the time?
Itala miraloto jumala tartanu marali nu mola mbade jumala mu nyato kundon koti obungo nyinkono ji.
Wo watola.
Watola.
Ah.
Watola nsavo memarela fode bari.
At that time, I can say that Fodebari was their head.
Apart from, okay, let me put it in a very neutral way. Who were the people present in the room at that time?
O watola jumala molti menbe tarta mabere nu obungo nyinkono ji o watola.
Jobate beje.
I mean, Jobate was there.
Fodebari. Ani do beje kafa ninja.
There was another one called Ninja.
Ani atondila bangsa. Ni manja kontong be menna bangsa.
Mun kontom sifa.
Mun konton sifa la.
Surwa kontong.
Surwa kontong mulong lande.
Mandinka kontong. Yola kontong. Bambara kontong.
Maybe Janni Beras can on Haklo Batoma, but I be no.
Well, maybe I might remember the name
you describe
later.
him?
Isa mulundanyo for no ba. Ama
Did I balos or
He was well built.
at Katala Kanabalumene in the Samananji.
He goes in and out. But
So-
the day I was brought there,
Suroni,
that night,
another Nunje.
he came there.
So not in Safatula, not another no. Liparo container at the phone Keramori Melango, Lipakan Kendek.
Because the time he came in there, that was the time when they were beating me, and he joined them, and they beat me very well.
Yo, Katafo ni Salimina drame.
Plus Salmina Drame.
At the Buddha Jarangola.
He is from Jara.
Wofanambe.
He was also there.
So this person whose name you can't remember,
mo melango ko ima hakilo ma auto muta.
Salmina Drame,
Salimina drame,
Ninja, Odebari,
Forever.
Lamin Jobate.
Ani lam jaba.
Those are the people you have named so far.
Yenyu lel gofo.
So let's take it step by step. Now
Ngata simfani simfala.
you've been brought into this room.
Yena ti nyibungo kono silang.
You said somebody sat on the chair and placed you in between his legs and squeezed you.
Iko modo sotonda sita siranganga yebula simfra fulol tema ya ba detakang.
Who was this person?
Jumala nyum mariti.
Lam Jobat.
Lamin Jobate.
And what is his other name?
To dodu.
Baba didn't Jobat.
The other name is Babadin Jobate.
What other position do you know him to have held in this country?
Yo yalo ay makama jumala fana marajang nyimbang kungkang.
Ngalon ko o time abenu enai about record abe lawyer yala no.
At that time, he was at the NIA. Later on, he was a lawyer.
About the magistrate Jojo.
Afterwards, he was appointed as a magistrate or a judge.
About the Minister of Justice.
From then, he was appointed as the Minister of Justice.
Okay, who is the other person that participated?
Jumala mo kodendo di menda bula ta ko kono.
You said there were others who would also come and slap you while they were asking you questions.
Iko modo fana kasoto le mendu kana ike etulo busa tembo mene katre nyini kakang.
Yes, just because
You do be at a canara, but I also let him. Wofana Manke Salimina, but I also let him. Ninata.
Okay.
there was a
What's
man
his
who
complexion?
Ala kuloro venyare mo fing mo koyo
Come some Mampara Barola, quite a Mampara Barola.
yes, he's in between black and fair complexion.
Did he say Abalo Koita?
Mampatabalo.
Come some Mampara Barola.
Yes, but okay. He says Bampatabalo Abalo Koita. What does that mean? Could you interpret that?
Mampatabalo means somebody who is in between fair coloredness and dark in complexion.
Okay. All right. And you said, are you okay, Mr. Witness, or you need...
Yeah, okay, I'm okay.
You're all right. Okay. And this person...
You marry.
You don't remember his first name or his last name?
Ato ana kontong
Sa
mang.
kulo bodala immediately, but nga to na kontong belon, but na main na natala science thing.
I forgot him just now, but I knew his name and surname all before.
Is that a name that you had given me before?
Mo told you me alon ko ya dinal num commando ba?
Ha nga dilanu commando ban telengi natala brabe je.
Yes, I gave you the name before. I gave it to you, but maybe now I forgot, but it's there.
Okay, just give me a minute. May I come approach Mr. Chair? Thank you.
Okay, ya so the one thing I kiaman wali.
Mr. Witness,
Sedo,
the chairman has permitted me
kiaman e silo dinale.
to give you 10 names.
Mo tanto dila.
Some I plugged out from the air. It's just in random names.
Tol dol beje ngol bondi mfangole karadola.
Some of people who worked at the NIA.
Dol tol mu molder me nan ko be do ko la NIA je fangoto.
And you would, if you remember the name,
Ninga tra mari nyinto ya mari muta.
You would tell us which name it is or which name you've remembered.
Ye isa fanye jumale mo mari to ti waranto e hakilo e jumale to muta nyumol kono.
James Cisse.
Ila mo ela kamol tolel kontiyete.
Baba Demba. Musa Toure. Tamsir Fall. Hari Sambu.
Walam.
Hari Sambu.
Hari Sambu Walam. Yes.
How do you know that it's Hari Sambu?
Yalo nyadi le ko Hari Sambulam.
Because it all come say siara je.
Because there were many there.
Do fam be ka fa Joe Mendy.
There was one person called Joe Mendy.
So brief and torture.
So when they were torturing me,
come sa yena the point do I'll see he karune.
So just in fact I forgot a point. Please forgive me.
Ni toto me mutara ni fengo amanke kante wala fengo ni nyo waro sire bego yen toto nyo waro la.
Because this was the time I was tortured. So whenever that time comes around,
because man comes out can they sort of follow back.
I'm not quite healed. I'm not quite well.
Near Narado, I can I first school, I toto come for Janning Sumani na waro tambela. Kabrin November, Kara December, so Olana. Balan na diam ko fang falindare. But now I rosira. Hanin men be sire to be alone because nga for now I rosira kamal.
Well, this thing happens to me around November to December. Whenever this comes around, when the time comes around, this was the time they tortured me. So this thing happens to me. And even those I stay with, they know, I told them.
So NIA.
So at the NIA, I know Hari Sambu, there were many of them there at that time.
96.
By the time we were going to the NIA, it was in 1996.
Late Sambaba.
At that time, late Sambaba,
Director of NIA.
He was the director of the NIA.
So
By the time we were being taken there.
So now let's talk about the torture. You told us about being Baba Dinding Jobate putting you in between his legs and he was slapping you.
Baba Dinding ole bula India simfarafulul tema darra ke liba ke
and others joined in.
Modo kotangol na dai kafudama.
Who are those who joined in and beat you?
Jumal no do kotangol do men na kafama and liba.
Harisambu was there.
For everybody. Ninja. Salmina. Joe. Any other people may told London.
From some other guys, I don't know their names.
Will be not.
Yes, they were in there.
All these people you named. Did they torture you?
All of them beat me. I wouldn't tell lies against them. No, I wouldn't tell lies against them.
I want to get this absolutely. I want to get emphatic answers from you.
Lafta Jabiri Saharangus Javar Tilindungol Sotle Ibulu.
And I remind you that you are under oath. You have an obligation to speak the truth. Salmina Drame, did he hit you?
Salmina Drame, Faye Busaleba.
Yes. In fact, he was saying that these people just take them and give them to the crocodiles. Because by the time when we were there, myself and Yaya Drame were in the same cell. They took us towards the area where Bambadinka we were left at the place called Bambadinka, myself and Yaya Drame.
Okay. Okay, just a moment. You said Salmina Drame hit you.
Salmina Drame
Yes.
Fodebari?
He was the man hitting me on my head with a stick.
Harisambu, did he beat you?
Harisambu Fanambulo Malay.
Yes.
And for how long did this particular torture session last? This was your first day at the NIA.
Yes,
this question is good. Because this beating, this torture session, the first day when I was taken to the NIA, after they beat me that night, to tell them who I was, whether I was part of the Farafenni attack group or they didn't have anything from me, no answers. Throughout that night, they were beating me, but they were unable to get any response from me. So the following morning, they took me out again, out of Bambadinka.
Up to this moment, you have not been taken to the hospital.
Oh, what will be?
No.
How about the bullet wound that you were suffering? It wasn't attended to.
No. Some of them were even stamping on that area of my leg with their boots, with their shoes.
So
when it was daybreak the following day, they took me out of Bambadinka. They took me to the office again.
So
that's how I was in their hands. They were beating me and questioning me. But up to that point, I didn't give them anything.
On this occasion, who was involved?
That second beating,
Lamin Jobate, the Fode Bari, the Samusar, Colonel Samusar,
and Colonel Samsar.
Excuse me?
Huh?
Who's this third person you mentioned?
Samsar. Atlebenu Babukari Jara no more time.
Samsar, he was the next man to Babkar Jata at that time.
But Colonel Samsar was in the headquarters, the army headquarters. He was not at the NIA.
Akubari Colonel Samsar, Watola, the soldier la Corda Baltonu, Montanum NIA la Cordato.
Yo, Barangana Jesenandi.
Yes, let me clarify that point.
Oh, in Araje Uraro Komsa Konton Kora Mulong.
They came there around after lunch time.
Who came there?
At Samsar and Babukar Jata.
Samsar and Babkar Jata came there.
So very nara.
When they came,
At
that time I was made to sit on the ground.
Were you fully clothed at the time?
Honey.
No.
What happened to your clothes?
I
was stripped. I was just wearing my underwear, my knickers.
So
when I was made to sit down,
so
they were beating me and still questioning me so that I can tell them that yes, I was part of the group.
So
I was there.
Samsar
came with Babukar Jata.
So
when he entered, he himself, Samsar, with his army combat boots, he kicked me. When he kicked me, he started hitting me with his hands on my back. He was also kicking me on my back.
Could you come to the front and demonstrate to the commission how he was doing it?
When I was sitting down on the ground, with only my underwear, when he came with Babkar Jata, the moment he came in, he kicked me with his army combat. So when I fell down, he used his army combat and started stamping on my head.
While you were lying on the floor like that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show us how he was stamping on you?
He was stamping on me with insults. Yes, he was using that word and stamping on me.
So, apart from stamping you, did he use his hands against you? Yes,
he used to blow me on my back with his hands. Babkar Babukar Jata came and held him.
Babukar Jata kaya ko, hey.
Babukar Jata said to him, hey, this man has been brought here. You are not yet, we don't know as yet whether he was part of the attackers of Farafenni or not. And now you are treating him like this. Now if you kill him, you will explain yourself. That's what Babukar told him.
But how do you know who was Samsar and who was Babukar Jata? You can take your seat.
Because it all more Babukar Jata, army commander, army commander home.
I know them because when I was sitting down there, they told me this is the army commander and this is his deputy.
But how do you manage to remember these names?
It
will family
they told me, but the Mandinka proverb goes, the person who kills the animal for food, well, he will forget. But the person whom you refuse to give a share will not forget.
So I bet Dr. Caesar didn't know that one. Proceed, Mr.
Ten.
So,
after that, they were still unable to get any.
Mr. Witness, do you recall what Samsar was wearing during that event?
He was in full uniform.
How do you know that he was colonel?
He was having the ranks on his body.
It will only have time.
And they also told me at that time.
Can you give us a description of Samsar?
Samsar, amuluntanya for isa tandi for isa ofono nyaba mumonya nyadi.
Samsar warombalona.
Samsar. At the time I knew him, he was a tall man. He is not very well built, not to that extent. Because if you compare him with Babukar Jata, Babukar is more well built than him, but he was taller than Babukar.
Okay. In which language did he insult you? You said he insulted you. You also said he said motherfucker. Excuse my language. Did he insult you in any other language?
No, he was just using this word in English.
So after Samsar beat you, what happened next?
Because what happened?
So another
that was the time they caught Yaya Drame. When Yaya was brought, by that time they had not got any response from me. Now they wanted to release me. And what they said was that as far as we were unable to get anything from this man, if the sun goes down, then we can release him.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 2 torture sessions.
Yes.
The first was the day you arrived. And this was the second day you were at the NIA.
Was
this the time Drame was brought in?
Wonyine o wato de o drame nati o wato menaba.
Wato le ya drame arrest ya samana telefon jangoni.
It was the second day that Yaya Drame was arrested and brought in there.
And so what happened when Yaya was brought?
Muna keta bilin Yaya Drame nati.
Wato ibe ya sambalana sojaroli ya escort amina wato men.
When Yaya came, he was escorted by soldiers.
So ya bulo anko fa koma.
His hands were cuffed behind him.
So bira sumandana arela officer weling.
When he just was approaching, at that time their office was open.
I
was sitting down on the ground in there.
So when Yaya
saw me, he said, Balo. That was the end of peace for me. That was the time they said, so he is one of them.
So
from that instant, I am unable to know where beatings were coming from.
So
when they beat me again,
do you know who are the people that participated in this beating?
No time ya samana sojarol ya escort. So mojama be no ma dolwe ofso kono je butubiri ya ko balo idendan naloro.
Well, at that time, there were many of them. So when these soldiers escorted Balo into the compound, and the moment he saw me, when Yaya was brought in, and the moment he saw me, he said Balo. From that moment, these people all came against me.
So we want to know who participated in it.
Mr.
Witness.
I menutra of so konoje ara forever be of so konoje jobare beje
the people he found in the office
samsar beje jo beje jo mende beje even nyim fango beje salmina beje many harisambu beje tol beje o time.
The people he counted like this, Joe Mendy, Harisambu, Salmina Drame, they were all present. And Ninja, they were all there.
Did all these people participate in your torture?
Yes, very well.
Kindly tell us the names of those you know tortured you on that occasion. This would be your third torture. No, not Lung Sabanjango.
No,
Lung Fulanjango, but Liparango Sabanjango.
Lung Sabanjango. Samina Lung Sabanjango la Carola.
Before that,
Janio Bekela, Bri Yaya Dramenati, Yalo Benta Lung Fulanjango Lefe. Wolunga munta wolung kilingo ye bute sinya fulale kodi yo akenyinin ka wolela wo bute franjaw yalo ye bute folo kele hal fo fongolo ko wari man kuma soto wabulu asike wuraro ngabula wo kola lo mila foroto ye Yaya Drame nati bidun Yaya Drame ye to kumandi iko Cairo banda otumole so akenyinin ka wolla Cairo law bandi jumanyo le muruta nang kote ke lipa sinya fulanjango wolung kilingo kono.
I menutra also konoje jobare beje for the beje
those yeah for killing for the people he found in the office there were Jobate himself plus for the bari aning
Salmina
was there,
Harisambu
was there,
Joe beje
Joe was there.
Joe, what's his last name?
Joe Mendy.
And who else?
And Ninja. And other people, many comes and
some other people. I cannot remember their names because there were many.
At this time, where was Samsar?
He
was there. By the time they were bringing him here, he was there and he was part of the torturing team. He was there.
Babukar Jata, was he there?
He was there, but he didn't touch me. Because it's better to tell the truth. He didn't touch me. He was there, but he didn't touch me.
All right. We would we would take it again, and we just want clarity as to who tortured you and who did not torture you. I must apologize, Mr. Chair. I just have to do this, be pedantic about it, and make sure that we have it in the record exactly who did what.
Ko be kiyaman aba fala kiyamani ko fonsi nyinke drong isaje kuma sena on soto isaje même safero même fana be safela kuma sena we soto je même be safela je.
Mr. Jobate, did he beat you on this occasion, this second time of torture on that day?
Yes. Mr. Jobate fo ay lifal ban lipar lupar fulanjaw men ya kela ban.
Yes. Yes.
For the Barry, did he beat you on this second occasion?
Yes,
Yes, always he was having a stick and he used to beat me on my head.
Salmina?
Salmina drama.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, what?
He also beat me.
Harisambu?
Harisambu fana.
Yes, Harisambu also.
Also what?
He also beat me.
Joe Mendy?
Joe Mendy also beat me.
Babukar Jata?
Babukar Jata do?
No, Babukar Jata mama.
No, Babukar Jata didn't touch me.
Ninja?
Ninja do?
Ninja yemmal.
Ninja touched me.
Samsar?
Samsar do?
Samsar fana yemmal.
Samsar also.
Aye manyadi?
He tortured me. He beat me.
And then what happened after all this beating? After
all this beating, when Yaya was brought in,
so Yaya samba wolo dola konoji.
Yaya was taken to another hall there.
So ura kaba ulo nyame.
They stripped him completely naked.
So it had
they went and cut some lime.
Ani fanko vinegar.
Plus some vinegar.
Ani isansote.
Plus some petrol.
So yake cotton dover.
And it was put on a cotton.
So and
I was also brought into the hall.
So sai ilabra ta.
And now they wanted to use that's what they wanted to do was to put that into his anus.
And if
you do that to a person, he dies immediately.
So
when they were unable to do that to him,
but did they try?
They tried very well to do it.
Why didn't they succeed?
It might be Allah's intervention.
Did Yaya Drame, did he submit or he resisted?
For Yaya Drame, balantala bang for Yaya fani tuibul.
He didn't resist. How can you resist when there were many people against you? Because his right hand was bent and twisted until it was broken.
Who did that?
Many of them were in there, soldiers, Lamin Jobate and others. A lot of them surrounded him. They surrounded him and were standing over him.
Let me ask you this question. You know Lamin Jobate is a trained lawyer.
Yeah, Lamin Jobate is a lawyer.
Do you know that?
I know that.
You know Harisambu is also trained in the law. These people know that torturing is a serious offense. Samsar was a very senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, of the Gambia National Army. All these people know that torturing is prohibited. Are you suggesting that all these people with that knowledge sat there and participated in your torture.
Sai left le kafoko jimmolu anila londo be itarta dinkira nyinto je fana inata ne dabula nyi tajire ya ko nyin kono je.
Londo table ni londo be ulite dabula re bai lawo londo nya amena fa.
They had no knowledge, because if they had the knowledge at that time, they wouldn't have participated. But if they had the knowledge also, then it was useless to them. They wouldn't have done what they did.
So aro tolka menjero wala mo ndo bare ya jamelo palaso nyindila. So we do hola dictero nye. So it lafra palaso no anin torno. So we kondolum bangu din jawle rolam bangu din kendol.
What they were doing, it was for a position. Because Yaya Jammeh gave them this position, so they were doing it to please him. So they took us as the bad elements of the country, so they were the good ones for the country.
So this Yaya, you said they tried to insert that object into his anus, but they did not succeed.
Iko ya katale puruka nyim fengota ka dunde akoma, but ima keno.
And you said that they pushed his palm, his hand, basically backwards until they broke it.
Andu iko ya ila mbuluteto fana mulukondi teto mutata ya ngaji fo ya kati.
Yes.
Do you know what else they did to him?
Yala no nyinku fulol kola fo ye kudo fana kala le ba.
Je kay tocorun kay containers ba ndana lawe nyokando je wolungol nyina biriyo kala ma soksi ya bulo kadi e ba soksi so after o kola ina ramura wala nyama ka onko fuka afai bamba denka.
Well, after all this torturing, when they were unable to insert that object into his anus, and they went on until they broke his hand, then when all those failed to make him talk, they decided to take him and throw him into Bambadinka.
And
handcuffed him.
Yes. Handcuffed him and threw him into Bambadinka. And
yes.
What happened to you?
Yo, biro bodaye.
After that.
So biri inarantenga so only paro na diam.
They came back to me and started asking me, and during that beating, I talked.
So when
I talked,
so
I told them I was part of the team. Because already I knew that when Yaya saw me, I knew that he recognized me.
So
I said to them, yes, I was one of them.
So
that was the time they went on asking me.
So
when they were asking me,
so
and that's the time when I narrated the whole thing to them, how I came into the Gambia, I went to my father, I explained all that to them.
So it had arrest.
So they went and arrested my father.
So I
wasn't there, but as I was told, our compound,
soldiers
came and surrounded the whole compound when they were arresting my father.
Hold a second. Let's take it a step backwards. In describing your torture for the second day, did, apart from beating you, did they put anything on you?
No, they didn't do anything like that until when they brought my father.
They brought
my father and one of my sisters called Nyomo Jamme. And another lady who was brought from Soma with her child, but I don't know them.
So afterwards,
that was the time when they forced me again. They wanted me to say that Jawara was part of it and Sehu Sabali.
So
they said by force those people were part of the attempt, so I have to say that.
Who told you that?
Jobate and Fodebari.
Jobate and Fodebari.
Are you certain?
Hang up because penne me alonko world data jenten mawlong ni nanamanyo but pur kan ni kanandu.
Yes, I told them that these people I don't know them, and I cannot say anything like that. Just to save my skin.
Save my life.
But when they brought my father, plus my sister Nyomo Jamme, plus another lady from Soma, I don't know her.
Okay, just a moment. Before you confessed being involved, as part of the torture, did they connect you to any particular object?
Yes, they did that. So that I can talk. Even during the beatings, they did that to me. Yes, they electrocuted me sometimes. But yes, they were doing that, electrocuting me. It went on for so many times in those 2 days. Sometimes they'll put it in my ear, sometimes on the sole of my feet.
The electrocution device, to what was it connected, as far as you know? Yes, they put it, it's just wires fixed to a plug.
So ya ke simoro ani tuloro jante.
They will come and put it on your leg or in your ear, on your ear. The time when we were there, that's how they were torturing us.
Did they burn you with anything?
Yes, I'm coming to that also. When they brought my father, plus my sister,
so it was the time they brought me out of Bambadinka. After bringing me out of Bambadinka, they stripped me in front of my father. They gave Joe Mendy this plastic bag. So I told him for the
They were the people standing over me for the Bari Joe Mendy and Baba Dindin Jobate.
So
they lighted this plastic bag and were putting it on my body so that I can talk. When they put light to it and when it was burning, that oil or that liquid from the burning plastic will be stripping on me.
So
that's what they were doing. So Baba Dindin took one of my breasts and cut it off with a razor blade.
Excuse me, Mr. Witness. What do you mean by what you have just said?
He just cut off my one breast with a razor blade because of wickedness.
So you mean to say that one of your nipples is gone, but because Baba Dinding Jobate took a razor blade and cut it off?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, you are on the oath.
I have sworn and I will not tell lies against him. Because when he came and found me in the jail, I told him that I can forgive, but I will never forget. And wherever I am asked, I will narrate it.
How did he respond?
He just
bent his head. There's nothing he can do.
Are you willing, Mr. Witness, to show this to the commission?
Yes, really, very well.
Go ahead. In the meantime, Mr. Chairman, I have pictures, so I would share the pictures for the commissioners to have a better look. Could you show the commission? And let this be filmed, please. Mr. Witness, you don't mind it being filmed and showed to the public, do you?
For abenyi ngaga ni narata kele bulu koli yada puru ya fintindi television or dunia be ajam fo abekola label.
No problem. No problem.
Please go ahead. The left breast.
Yes, it's the left breast.
I think it's quite obvious that something is missing on the left breast. The nipple is missing. But what are those spots just below your breast?
Those marks were caused by liquid of burning plastic. Because when they were torturing me, so they told me you will never get married again. Jomendi told me that if we deal with you, you will never be able to function as a man, never again until you die. I told him, you said what you intend. But I haven't heard it from Allah. If Allah says that I will not be able to function as a man again, well, that's what will happen. My father was sitting down. My father cried. My father told them his deeds. I wasn't aware of it. But saying that I am his father. Yes, I am his father. From this world till the next world. Because when Yaya Jammeh was taking over this country, he didn't inform his parents. This man also didn't inform me. If he had told me, I wouldn't allow him to do it. And they told my father very hard words. Then my father became sick after. Up to this time.
Out of conscience.
Up to this time,
let him sit down.
My father cannot recover. Up to this moment, he is just like that.
Mr. Witness, before you wear your clothes, did they do anything to you below your nipple? Below your belly button?
Fo e kukela le bang bata kuma ya du mala fo ila tilimbali ya futata jele bang
bata kuma du because ndar le fo la bang fam bukan sumunano e manjan
yes there was a time when I cannot even urinate because they treated me in many different ways.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have pictures of that too. Please wear your clothes and be seated.
Balo Conte Kante Aketu Keneke Bara Baraka ye amani information mendi commission la bara haketu.
Mr. Chair, I have provided the commission with a set of pictures just showing the types of scars on the witness's body. Balo Kante.
Balo Kante.
No.
Who would you say are the people who are responsible for all this suffering you went through at the NIA? All of them.
Ite ba fola jumala tarta marling nyun kuola nyin dete jawo ni nyun kolea jawol men late kan NIA nyun molbe iba fola jumala ma kunduko be jumala marla kola.
Name all of them.
Ibe tofo.
Baba Dindi Njobate. Fode Bari. Salmino Drame. Harisambu. Samsar. Joe Mendy. Ninja. Baby. They were there.
Thank you very much.
Number.
But as at the time they were doing all this to you, in the presence of your father, where were these women that you mentioned, who you said were also arrested?
They were sitting there.
The other one was my sister. The other woman, I don't know her, but she was arrested from Soma.
There was also a child, you said.
Yes, the lady had a child. She was arrested from Soma.
And was the child also present when you were being tortured? When you were being spread like a cow under the slaughter, as you put it?
Dinno nyum fana be mabere no ban wato men ko ye muta ye city ko ye lande ko ka ninso lande nyame ni bina kanatela
si susu dingo babulu fangsa yani wala arresna
dinno nyum be mabere njila ke nyin gawal
beje susu dingo babul.
Yes, the child was there because the child was a suckling child.
Yani wala fang arresna budumala be karijela wala sanjijela wala be susu wala.
The child was suckling. I don't know how many months or years did that child have, but the child was suckling.
So my sister is called
Nyomo Jamme.
Baby jele waro ben tocho kela na waro yen ura ko mbay wulu nyama mfama nyaatlo ani tol be nyaatlo ngola je. So mfama kumbora ko ali fen jala ndala wulu de ali fen ko kabirun dina fol kiyam ndala wulu mu wulu de ngola dundan bannato muk.
Yes, but then it happened in the presence of all these people I mentioned. But when they were doing this to me, the time they stripped me naked, my father cried and told them, well, he is my biological son. Whatever you do to him, okay, but I will never reject him. He is my son.
And you told us earlier that something happened to your father.
Ye mfanye koma mtono ko kusuranda menkete ifamala.
Ye kumakanja ulfom fama ye. So adi ko dol me alon ko anata kem fama ye out of concept because I'm fama be damon dal. Amandra mol kono dal.
Yeah, they told him many hard words which later traumatized him to the point of being somebody who is not mentally balanced nowadays. Because even today, I have one of my younger brothers. Sana is staying there.
So I had to cut
He's always there to help my father plus my stepmother.
So I
informed him that I am going to do my testimony today.
So because
people are not equal.
So
before somebody will go and explain it to him in another way, and which might create another problem for him. I told him to be near him all the time. Before he will think that I am in a problem or something has happened to me which might cause another problem for him.
Up to this moment, up to the point you confessed, Did you receive any medical attention?
Fo ye jaralo itilin bunda tili lalaba.
Ani imo tilin na follow after being called back,
No, they didn't give me.
No, just answer that question.
No.
Okay. So, at what stage were you made to make a statement on GRTS?
What did you malam inarane findin the purita kumakang di GRTS?
Brian torturing back and for parade.
After all this torturing until they were ready,
I don't know ya drama.
By that time I was there with Yaya Drame.
So waro nai modoli mol someone follow. Umar Dampanyol Karasile Marsa and Esabal.
Because by that time the others haven't arrived yet. Esa and Omar Damfa, they have not yet arrived.
Suleiman
Sar.
So waro yendol moflo samba telero.
That was the time when the two of us were taken in front of the TV.
So waro mbalo vejanirin so buso me ya bonga kaji jeka ji.
And that time, my body was burnt, and even if you look properly at that time, there were some water drips coming out of my body.
So warole yo kana na fulanya wo time mbuka atare for almost 1.5 days mbuka sumuna keno.
And that was the time it went up till 1.5 days. I'm unable to urinate.
So he left a pipe or sambalana purka bulana.
They wanted to bring a pipe so that I can be able to urinate.
So
I said to them, no, I refused.
Because no one there stand up for around Tinyal.
They might damage me.
So
when I rejected that, and that was the time if I have water to drink, I always recite something and spit it inside the water and drink it until Allah helped me to be able to urinate. That's how it happened.
I am interested in how your statement on GRTS was done.
Sularine ka long ila kumakango nying bimen di GRTS teleto akeno ranyadi le.
How was it organized?
Ya ko nyilande nyadi le.
They organized it as the way they want it to appear. That's how they decided to do it.
Who decided on what you were to say on GRTS?
Jumale kango di be ko wala kumakango be memfola teleto.
Yen tol bonna enayele comme ça ya yitandina ko ali memfo biri ben to chola waro man memfo je wo kuma kan kelon pour sita o sengan GRTS.
What they told me was that during the torturing session after I confessed, they told me to repeat the same words in front of the GRTS cameras.
So do kono forcer la pour ka irandiko jawra dawe to la kudeta to wala seku sabal dawe jandunda ma wollo.
And in that they made it a force on us to say that Jawara was also involved with Sehu Sabali, and I didn't know those people. That's how they did it.
Did you say that?
I said it. It's even in my statement, it's there. Because by the time I was doing this, I was not myself.
Because
the time when they were torturing me was the time when they were writing that statement.
Do you recall the person who was writing the statement?
Lamin Jobari.
Do you recall who told you to say that Jawara and Sehu Sabali were involved in the attack?
For Hakilo Samurano, Jumale Yininkaro, Wardo Jumale or for a Kafo Yafoko, Jawaran in Sehu Sabala, Dabalo, Idabalo, Boinka Unikonal.
Whatever.
Was he alone? Was he the only person who said it?
Adam Male of Banfo?
At Lem Moribrayo for Dron, so Musobe Job, Ninja Banka Baffling, yes. He
was the person who said that, and by that time, Joe was having this nylon bag which was burning, and he was spilling this nylon burnt liquid nylon on me, saying that, speak. If I am ready with you, you will not be able to function as a man again.
Who else told you to say that Jawara and Sabali were involved?
Ata kola jumala fana yo foe puri ite ya foko Jawara ni Segu Sabali daba boinga nyin kono le.
Ngamo 4 days la time.
At that time, I had it only from 4 days.
Okay. Earlier on, you told us that Baba Dindin Jobate also said so. Which is which?
Ko to ye info nyela ko Baba Dindin Jobate fana ye info ne puri yafo. Sa jumala njumati.
I told move lo be afa yale ma fo wat kilon la.
Yes, all of them said this, but it was not at the same time.
But you are certain that both of them said it?
Yes. Yes.
You are on the oath?
Wallahi mbekalo ko ndekano lale hanina statement on ya jiwe bata raje.
I swear I know that I am on the oath. Even in my statement, if you check, you'll find it there.
Okay. All right. So the confession you made on television, was it voluntary?
Ani ko magen dian nyoko because it tolen sambaje ndo.
No.
Courier wrong because magen dian by sembo betol bulokon.
No.
So for say courier sambaje eta diam.
No, it was against my will because they had power in their hands. And I had no choice. And that's what they wanted. So they took me there and made me say these things.
After your confession, what happened? After you were presented before the GRTS?